A strange heat pulsed through my fingertips, making them buzz as I held up the keycard to my own five-star hotel, the one I'd built from the ground up, only to be blocked at the entrance by my sister. Through the elegant glass doors, I could hear my father's booming laugh echo across the opulent Grand Azure lobby. The same lobby I personally designed. The same hotel I owned. Yet somehow I stood outside unwelcome, like a stranger. "You can't seriously be thinking of coming in," Vanessa muttered, her voice dipped in smug condescension. She shifted the strap of her gaudy designer dress, a cheap imitation I recognized immediately. My designer friend had shown me the authentic sketches just last week over brunch. Vanessa squared her stance in front of the door like a guard on duty. "This is the Grand Azure, Ellie. Tasting menu here costs more than you probably make in a whole month." If only she knew. I had personally crafted that tasting menu alongside our Michelin-starred chef. The irony would have been funny if it didn't sting so much. "He's my father too," I said calmly, more composed than I felt. Inside my sleek clutch, a small envelope pressed against my fingers, the deed to a private villa in Tuscany, one of the most elite properties in the entire Grand Azure portfolio. And yet here I stood, treated like a broke outsider. Let me introduce myself properly. My name is Eleanor. I'm 38. I'm a hospitality entrepreneur. And this is the story of how I reclaimed my rightful seat at a table I actually owned. Vanessa didn't flinch. She adjusted her hair in the reflection of the pristine glass doors and said, "Mom and Dad were very clear. They only want successful people inside. People who won't embarrass the family." Her words landed like a slap. Just yesterday, I'd signed off on a $100 million expansion deal for the Grand Azure chain. But today, I was apparently too much of a disgrace to step into my own hotel. I bit the inside of my cheek to stop myself from laughing at how absurd it all was. Brought me back to 10 years ago, when I told my parents I was leaving the family's modest accounting firm to follow my passion for hospitality. They practically excommunicated me. I could still hear my father scoffing. "No daughter of mine is going to be a glorified waitress." So I let them believe what they wanted. That I was some struggling restaurant manager barely getting by. They had no idea that I'd built Azure Hospitality Group into one of the top luxury hotel empires in the country. The glorified waitress now owned 35 five-star hotels on 3 continents. Eleanor, my mother's sharp voice cut through my thoughts. She appeared behind Vanessa, wearing pearls and judgment like armor. "What are you doing here? We talked about this." No. They had talked about it. I'd received a message that morning from her, cold and dismissive. "Don't come to your father's birthday. It's being held at the Grand Azure. You can't afford it. Don't embarrass us." "I brought a gift," I said softly, raising the envelope slightly. Vanessa let out a fake laugh. "What is it? A gift card to Olive Garden? Or did you collect enough tips to grab something from a strip mall?" My mother's eyes darted to my clutch, probably assuming it was from some discount store, unaware it was handcrafted Italian leather and cost more than Vanessa's entire outfit. "Whatever it is," my mother sniffed, "your sister's present will be more appropriate. She just made junior partner, you know." I knew. I also knew her firm was desperately trying to lease office space in one of my commercial buildings, space they couldn't quite afford. The real estate reports had landed on my desk just yesterday. "Vanessa's doing wonderfully," my mother continued proudly. "New home, new car, impressive fiancé. She's everything a parent could hope for." She looked me over like a disapproving critic. "And you, well, at least you're still trying." I thought of my penthouse overlooking Central Park, my vintage car collection, the private jet I flew in on that morning. "Yes, Mom," I smiled faintly. "At least I'm trying." Vanessa tilted her head and gave a smug little smile. "And that dress," she sneered. "This isn't a truck stop, Ellie. This is the Grand Azure. You could have at least tried to look like you belong." I glanced down at the sleek black silk dress that hugged my figure perfectly, a custom creation from one of Paris's most prestigious designers. Ironically, the same designer who had refused Vanessa's requests just last month. I knew because my stylist told me during my last fitting. "It's what I had time for," I said lightly. "Well, you're not coming in," she snapped. "We've reserved the entire VIP floor. It's for family and important guests only." The VIP floor. My VIP floor. The very space I personally redesigned last year, from the chandeliers to the marble inlays, from the curated artwork to the scent diffused through the hallways. Every inch bore my signature. Who qualifies as important guests these days? I asked, genuinely curious. My mother waved a dismissive hand. "You wouldn't know them. The Andersons, the Blackwoods, and Mr. Harrison from the bank. All people who've truly achieved something. Not," she glanced at me, "not waitresses playing CEO." I fought the grin tugging at my lips. Thomas Anderson? He leased 3 of my buildings. The Blackwoods? They'd recently sent multiple requests to gain access to my most exclusive resort. And Mr. Harrison's bank? Their loan application had landed on my CFO's desk last week. "Of course," I replied coolly. "Very influential company." "Exactly," Vanessa said, as if I'd finally understood my place. "You see now why it wouldn't be right for you to be here. I mean, what would people think if they knew the family failure was pouring their wine?" "Vanessa," my mother scolded, though her eyes sparkled with subtle agreement. "Be polite. Eleanor made her choices. She could have stayed in the family firm like you. Things would have been different." The family firm now operated out of a modest space in one of my less popular properties, constantly behind on rent. My property manager sent me updates on all tenants, including theirs. Just then, Gavin, Vanessa's fiancé, stepped out, adjusting his tie. "What's going on out here?" "Everyone's." He stopped cold when he saw me. His jaw tightened. "Eleanor." "Didn't expect to see you," he said. "Clearly not," I replied. "Gavin just made vice president at the bank," my mother beamed, like she was announcing a Nobel Prize. "Junior vice president," I corrected gently. I knew because his bank handled a small portion of my company's accounts, and my finance department provided detailed monthly breakdowns. "Well," Vanessa huffed, "it's still more impressive than whatever it is you're doing these days." I thought back to the board meeting I'd left that morning, where we reviewed documents to acquire Gavin's entire bank. Papers were probably still upstairs, waiting for my signature. "Something like that," I said with a shrug. "This is getting ridiculous," my mother snapped. "Eleanor, just leave. You're causing a scene." "She couldn't even afford to be here," Vanessa added with a mocking laugh. "Let's be honest." I looked past them, through the glass doors into the hotel I'd dreamed into reality. Polished marble floors. Crystal lighting. The elegance. The legacy. And for a brief second, I thought about walking away. Let them have their illusion. But then I remembered something my mentor once told me. Success means nothing if you let people treat you like you don't belong. My spine straightened. My heartbeat slowed. The buzz in my fingertips vanished, replaced by clarity. "Actually," I said evenly, "I think I'll stay." Before my mother could formulate a protest, the lobby's glass doors swung open with perfect timing. Owen stepped out, my head of security and longtime ally. He'd been by my side since I purchased a rundown motel 7 years ago and transformed it into the first jewel of the Azure collection. "Is there an issue, Madam CEO?" His voice rang loud and clear, cutting through the tension like a knife. "Your private table is set, and Chef Michelle is waiting to present tonight's menu selection for your final approval." The silence outside the hotel entrance turned heavy and stunned. Vanessa's jaw dropped. Her lip-glossed mouth hung open in disbelief. My mother instinctively gripped the brass handle next to her, as if the building might suddenly tilt sideways. I turned to Owen with a calm smile. "Perfect timing," I said warmly. "My family was just explaining how I couldn't afford to dine here." Owen blinked, genuinely puzzled. "But ma'am, you own the entire Grand Azure chain." "Yes," I nodded. "Yes, I do." I turned to my shocked family. "Shall we head in? I believe you've reserved the VIP floor, my VIP floor to be exact." Gavin finally found his voice. This is a prank, right? You're just a restaurant manager." Owen remained composed but firm. "Miss Eleanor is the founder and chief executive officer of Azure Hospitality Group," he said professionally. "She owns all 35 Grand Azure hotels around the globe, along with our luxury resorts and dining brands." Vanessa's clutch slipped from her hand, landing on the marble steps with a hollow thud. That's not possible," she stammered. "The Grand Azure is worth billions," I finished for her, stepping past them and into my lobby. "Which makes your comment about me not affording the tasting menu pretty entertaining." As I entered, the staff immediately straightened up, offering professional yet warm greetings. "Good evening, Miss Elena," called Rachel at the front desk. "Your father's birthday suite has been fully prepared as requested." "Thank you, Rachel." I turned back to the doorway where my family still stood frozen, blinking as if the hotel had shape-shifted around them. "Coming!" They trailed behind me in stunned silence, their eyes scanning every detail as though they were seeing the hotel, and me, for the first time. Every staff member we passed greeted me by name. Every hallway whispered of the hands-on leadership that had built an empire. My mother looked again at my dress. Her expression shifted. "That gown," she said slowly. "It's lovely." "Custom Paris design," I said casually. "Around 30,000, I think. I've stopped checking price tags, to be honest." We approached the private elevator, the one that required a key card only I carried. As I pulled it from my clutch, I glanced sideways. "Unlike Vanessa's dress," I added calmly, "which appears to be a knockoff. The real Valentino line hasn't been released yet. I attended the private preview myself last month." The elevator opened into the VIP lounge. My father's birthday was already in full swing, glasses clinking, music playing. But when we stepped inside, the room went dead silent. My father stood up slowly from the head of the table, his face pale with disbelief. "Eleanor," he said, voice cracking slightly. What are you doing here?" "Your mother said you couldn't afford it," I interrupted, walking toward him with purpose. "Happy birthday, Dad. Hope you don't mind me showing up to the party I technically own." "The hotel's yours?" Mr. Harrison from the bank stepped forward, his eyes lighting up with recognition. "Miss Eleanor, we've been trying to schedule a meeting with you for months regarding that loan application. I had no idea you were connected to Robert." Thomas Anderson chimed in, clearly stunned. "She's the mysterious buyer? The one acquiring all that downtown property?" "Yes," I said simply. My father sank back into his chair, the blood visibly draining from his face. All this time, years, he'd believed I was just scraping by as some glorified hostess. I looked him directly in the eyes. "Those were your words, weren't they? The day I left your firm to pursue what I loved?" My mother's pearls rattled slightly against her chest. "Why didn't you tell us?" she demanded, clearly shaken. "Why keep all of this from your family? Would you have listened?" I asked quietly. 10 years ago, I needed encouragement. I needed belief. Instead, I got mockery and silence. Why should I share my wins with people who only care about wealth once it's too big to ignore? I paused. Although, by your own standards, I suppose I'm now worth more than everyone in this room combined. Vanessa collapsed into a chair nearby, her skin ghost white. "I tried to book that villa in the south of France last summer, The one that was always reserved, she muttered. It's mine, I confirmed. My property manager flagged your request. He didn't realize the connection. I turned my gaze to Gavin. Just like your firm's office lease. The one you can't quite afford? That's also one of my buildings. And the resort membership your mother's been chasing? Still on the wait list. My father tried to speak, but I held up a hand. Don't, I said gently. I didn't come here to embarrass you, even though you've done that to me plenty over the years. I came because I'm done hiding. I'm tired of making myself small to protect your egos. I faced the room and raised my voice, calm but clear. Please enjoy the party. It's all on the house. My house. I began walking away but paused and turned. Oh, and Dad, the envelope I brought you? I pulled it from my clutch and handed it to him. It's the deed to a villa in Tuscany, one of our most exclusive estates. Consider it a birthday present from your failure of a daughter. The rest of the evening passed in surreal fashion. Suddenly, relatives who'd ignored me at family reunions were eager to talk investments. The Blackwoods nearly begged me to approve their resort membership. Mr. Harrison cornered me again about that loan. And Gavin? He disappeared, probably updating his resume somewhere in a panic. Vanessa's fiancé ghosted her once he realized her job security was built on a lease she couldn't afford. My mother wept, then pivoted into telling guests how she'd always known I had potential. Later, I stepped out onto the terrace and found my father alone, staring at the skyline. How many of those buildings do you own? He asked quietly. Enough, I replied, joining him. Including the one your firm's in. He nodded slowly. I was wrong about you. So wrong. Yes, I said. You were. Do you think you could ever forgive us? I paused, letting the city lights reflect in my thoughts. It's not about forgiveness, I said. It's about respect. You never respected my path, my choices, or me. You only care once the world tells you to. Now you can tell your friends that your daughter owns the Grand Azure. That should give you something to brag about. I turned, heading to my private office on the top floor. Tomorrow, everything would change. Vanessa was no longer the star. My mother would rewrite the past. Gavin's firm would either pay or lose their lease. But tonight I finally took my seat at the table, a table I built in a room I owned beneath a roof I paid for. And no amount of late family recognition could ever compare.